I'm off to Hopefully that does something. It seems to have just turned my camera off entirely, though, so we might have to configure things like a jigger. In the bottom left, as the blue Protoss, we have HellraiseR. And in the top right, as the red Protoss, we have DnS. Hey, it's a nice picture that it's frozen on at the very least. Okay. Ah, it's still glitching. Uh-oh. ZombieGrub might need a new camera. Oh, no. No. I actually have, like, at least one extra Logitech C920. One that I use when I do podcasts. And I might even have another one somewhere. The one that I used when I had a separate place to stream PS4 games. You know, ideally, I would actually get like a DSLR setup, but it's quite expensive to do that. Even like the cheapest DSLR that has the correct mechanics in it, like most DSLRs have a shutoff timer, so you need to find one that doesn't, is basically the requirement. Even the cheapest ones still run like high 300s, not 400. So maybe I can get like a refurbed one. I haven't actually looked into it too much. But maybe it's time. Maybe it's a sign, you guys. Because today I also finally got paid for Katowice. Which, not gonna lie, it was a bit of a frustrating process. But a lot to do with, you know how, like, they do that thing where instead of, like, just having a person that compiles all the things for you and kind of does all the things for you, they instead say, hey, use this website. It's super easy. It's super accessible. And it's like, is it, though? Does it? Or does it just cause more problems because technology is actually a curse, not a blessing? You know what I mean? I'm sure someone out there knows what I mean. But it finally happened, so... Webcam breaking on the same day you get paid? Maybe it's a sign. Anyways. I'll think more about that later. We do have a one-base Stargate from HellraiseR. And he has blocked out scouting. DnS went for a scout well around the world, basically, because that's what PvP does. Very rarely do you actually have, nowadays it feels like, I mean in the last month, shall I say, very rarely do you actually have a probe immediately go to the other side of the map and scout the person's main base. So that funny, like, consequence of that is that, well, yes, it gets you a head start on scouting these, like, random-ass pylons. You actually can't scout one-base Stargates, which you would be able to do if you immediately put a probe in their base. Now, HellraiseR did have to also block a probe out from scouting, but he was on top of that. And now he has adepts that are going to be bothersome, which he's also going to be able to push back. Might want to... I guess he doesn't have to really worry about putting down another shield battery, just because if they do come into this base, the Phoenix will be able to handle them, and will have enough of a surprise factor on their side to still matter, right? Now, DnS, he knows something tricky is happening, otherwise there would be a Nexus right now. He also doesn't have a Nexus, but it's because more so I think he knows that something weird is happening. He's actually expecting probably a proxy robo or proxy third gateway. And what's funny is that it's not either one of those things. What's funny is that it actually is, with being not just a Stargate for an Oracle, but a Stargate from multiple Phoenix, is that this probably goes into a macro game okay-ish. The Phoenix numbers just... when they don't die, and it's hard to kill them, they make sure you get probe after probe after probe, and they're also decent enough against taking out, like, Sage Sentries, for instance, or Warp Prisms, so that you don't have to worry either about being pushed too much. That's not to say that Phoenix are a magic cure-all. That's definitely not the case, and it's still tricky. DnS might just be able to go ahead and do a push, and the Phoenix won't be able to help, which kind of seems to be his plan here. But it is something that's just worth noting. HellraiseR, especially since he will be getting a lot of scouting with these Phoenix, could possibly play out a macro game. So, I mean, PvP is weird, right? it's a lot about reactions, and DNS, I don't know if he wanted to fake a Nexus anyways, like he'll build it but not build any more probes, or what. I'm actually not, like, that quick cancel on the Nexus is actually really surprising. But he does have 3 gateways, and it, you know, Robo, he could build a Warp Prism. He could just go for an attack, and maybe that's more what he's thinking, like, you know, forget the Nexus, like, let's not even try. He's, yeah, the Phoenix are pretty powerful. If there is a world where DNS already having a Twilight Council made any sense in the world, it really doesn't. But if there was a world, maybe he knew this is something HellraiseR did and was like, aha, I'm just gonna go right in a blink. Like, maybe he does play a macro game, you know, 100% from there. But, dealing with the Phoenix, the constant Phoenix pressure, and his observer also sees, like, how far behind he's gonna get in the macro game. Maybe you can't just go ahead and macro out of this. The Warp Prism's going to be a nice target along with those sentries. The Phoenix might even be able to get this one. DNS tries to save it. Not going to happen. Look how quickly it went down. HellraiseR's going to be in a bit of trouble. He does have a 3rd gateway finishing as well, trying to get the Chrono on the charge, but that won't be done. So instead, building more Phoenix, like basically anything he can. No shield batteries going down in the natural is a little bit surprising. Obviously, he has to pick and choose a little bit with the minerals, you know, Phoenix, gateway production, or shield batteries, but I would have expected 2, basically. That's usually the response to an attack in most PvPs. And HellraiseR just continuing to spend money on would-be charge lots. I actually think charge was going to finish, but a couple more chronos later, and it's going to affect the battle at least somewhat. DNS did take his time, you know, because he had to keep protecting his Warp Prism. A couple more units go down, a couple more of those sentries. Warp Prism actually has not been found, so do credit to DNS for hiding that. But charge does finish because he had to take so much time over here. Good target fire on the Phoenix, but they're still going to get all of the sentries, and they're going to grab a couple of stalkers out of the fight as well. Charge just might be too good, or rather just the number of zealots might be too good, right? Like, they're not dying particularly quickly, especially because the stalkers had to target the Phoenix first. Finally, as they retreat, charge has been on cooldown. They start to cut through the number of those charge lots, but this is still very scary. The Warp Prism is coming forward to try and help out. Now the Phoenix have been a little cold here, but it's still going to be a target for the 3 Phoenix that are available. Once again, target firing them, but then that causes so much damage from the Zealots to hit the Stalkers, and the Warp Prism might just go down anyways. The last Phoenix gets the last shot, and HellraiseR is going to hold. He did have to pull the probes, but DNS has no Nexus on his side of the map. He's trying to desperately rebuild that Warp Prism, but how much can he really do with these Stalkers? The Zealots might be able to be kited backwards. There's not enough of them, but there's way too many other units, and that is GG. The accidental pause. You don't GG and then BM pause. Like, that was just accidental. And we're all tied up now. GG. Your investigation? It's kind of cool. Like, I think it'd be annoying if I was staring at it, like you guys are, but the glitching is almost like a filter. I wonder how old this Logitech camera is. I'm gonna see if there's any damage I can see on it. No, definitely no damage I can see. But it has been dropped, you know, once or twice. Or a dozen, 2 dozen times. This, mass, what is it, DMCA? Is that what it is? I forget what the acronym is. The mass hits on the clips is kind of spooky. I went through and, like, cut all the clips that I have of, like, streams where I'd play very popular music, like all the viewer days where I've had stream requests, music requests on, but I don't know about my other streams. It seems more like, honestly, like it seems more that it's like a few songs, right? A few companies and what they own hitting streamers than it is like actually trying to hit every song possible, or bigger or smaller streamers, right? It's just like what songs they play on their channel, but better safe than sorry. In the top left, as we have our final game here on Nightshade, it is HellraiseR. And in the bottom right, as the red Protoss, we have DnS. Looks like an 80s TV show on VHS. Yeah, you just have to like slap the, just kind of like slap the side of your monitor, guys. And just keep hitting it until it gets fixed. No, we had a bit of a tricky game last game, DnS. I mean, it's very rare to have a one-base Stargate that doesn't immediately go into an Oracle, get that damage done. So for DnS to kind of assume that, like, oh my god, if it's not a one-base Stargate, like, I need to get mass defenses right now. I get 2 shield batteries, he went for a Robo first, or maybe he would have gone for a Nexus, or what have you. Like, that makes a lot of sense. We can't really fault DnS with the limited information that he had doing what he did. And the attack also, it's hard to say that it could have been any better. Maybe he could have gotten a faster Warp Prism, not have to cancel a Nexus, just didn't go for a Nexus entirely. Like, maybe faster would have been better. There's only so fast you can really go when you don't know what they're doing. Because what if HellraiseR was doing, a 3 gateway attack or a Robo on 1 base attack, and then decided, oh, DnS defended, I'm just going to mac her out, because that also happens a ton of times. And as soon as DnS thinks, oh, I should try and do something about that, and tries to walk down his ramp, suddenly there's an army that's still waiting there, that's still slightly bigger than his, in a better position than his, and he dies. So, until he actually got confirmation with the Hallucinated Phoenix, it was a very difficult position for DnS to be in. Very difficult. Usually it's the Oracle that shows itself off one Stargate, not a bunch of Phoenix being hidden. And that really put DnS into a difficult position. Now, HellraiseR's trying to search around for this pylon, but not going to be able to find it. Tucked away in the corner as it is. DnS opens with double Stalker. He wants to look for the pylon for real. I'm not sure if he went opening a double Stalker last game or not. I actually don't remember, but his probe, he did try and search around his base and HellraiseR's base a little more with that probe. Because it also tried to get into the main base, but was denied. So, definitely different than last. But they're both going to go for Nexus this time. DnS eventually adding on the 2 sentries, but no, he won't have 3 sentries like some other openers. He's going to use his 4 Stalkers, try and get something done. And, that is very possible to do, but I think it's already a bit too late here. HellraiseR did go for 2 Stalkers, 2 sentries, or something over like that, but already the 5th and 6th units have popped out of those gateways, so... Ooh, DnS actually making some magic here. Okay, no. Just a trade, then. Just a trade. Well, and a better trade, actually, for HellraiseR, because 1 Stalker is now substantially weaker than the others, but... For 4 to 6 units, he almost got away with all 4 of his units. That was actually... Yeah, that's something. It was close. Did my clips get hit? No, it did not. But, I'm not gonna try and play games, be like, well, I dodged this one, so. Glitching kind of reminds me of GDI mission briefings, where their technology was so bad that they glitched. GDI has some problems. DnS also has some problems, letting the Adepts into his main base. Even with the shield battery, should still net HellraiseR a few probe kills, but just a tiny, tiny bit mismatched. Unfortunately, it looks like DnS also got Adepts in with no shield battery, but they didn't do as much damage. That's surprising. That's actually HellraiseR who gets... No, actually, literally equal. Oh my god, stop it. Stop sending Adepts in. I think the difference is that maybe DnS only had one Adept per... That was funny. One Adept per attack there, but there's no shield batteries for HellraiseR, right? So he still got mega losses on his probes, where DnS at least had a shield battery in his main base, but not his natural, where the Adepts also got into. So at the end of the day, DnS actually gets the better trade here. By 2 probes. Not super significant, but that was kind of silly. That was really silly. They both are going in a blink, but DnS does have that +1 already done. HellraiseR is going for an attack. Sorry, not done, on the way. HellraiseR is going for an attack, and that is maybe going to hit before the +1 is done here for DnS. He's not putting Chronos into that. He's putting Chronos into blink. But that's actually a question. That is actually a good question. DnS, is he going to be prepared for this? He just had a Hallucinated Phoenix go into the natural base. Saw 1 gas was taken, but not the 4th gas, and that's a little suspicious as we head into the later stages of PvP. I believe that kind of missed the army. Maybe it didn't, but another shield battery is also on the way. One's already done. Blink about to finish up here for DnS. Going to really help. He's got a handful of sentries popping that Guardian Shield. Could be good help. I mean, you force blinks when they're not actually blinking away from fights, rather just at a force field. It's still something. But that +1 is not going to be done. Not for like 20, 25 seconds. That's a lot of stalkers here for HellraiseR. 17 to 14, but a shield battery or 2 might help. The second one actually did not finish. Another one on the way back here. Also wary of any Adepts being warped in. He's got a probe on that high ground, exactly what he should be doing, but so far no Adepts. HellraiseR just going for pure stalker numbers. 21 stalkers of 14, +1 finishes up, but that might not make the difference, to be honest. The blink forward very aggressively as +1 finishes. Is that going to be a mistake? Probes maybe should have been pulled at this point, just making sure that DnS doesn't lose. But that army supply is starting to go down a lot for our red Protoss. And another aggressive blink forward here from HellraiseR. He's going to do it. He's going to go ahead and win this game. He's not going to let DnS try and fit another Immortal in or another shield battery or whatever he can. That is going to be it. The number is just too great for HellraiseR. By the time +1 kicked in, DnS's supply was already too far down. Had the probes been pulled earlier, would that have really helped? Probably not. I mean, look how many stalkers are left over compared to DnS. GG. HellraiseR takes the PvP